Hey everyone, welcome to news analysis. Let's look at some of the important news of 27th September. A lot has been happening. If you know the Canada issue that is very much all over the news, all over social media. Then we have a lot of international news, sports news. A lot has a deep relevance to your examinations that you will be writing. So let's look at some of the important headlines and what we can learn from these news. First, legal news that says that judiciary is losing talent as government sits on names. It's observed by the Supreme Court. As you know that the Supreme Court Collegium recommends the name for people who can be appointed as a judge of the High Court. But the government sits on names. That is to say, they do not forward those names, they do not approve those names, they start picking and choosing. If you remember, some time back there were three cases where an openly declared gay judge was recommended to be appointed the judge of the High Court. However, the government had problem. The government had investigated and they were citing security reasons. They were citing that his partner is a Swiss national, so it is not safe for the country, and there could be a biasness reason. He would be biased towards the LGBTQ community. So these kind of apprehensions, these kind of things the government keeps putting at the time of appointment, so that delays the process. So the Supreme Court is saying that with this behavior, a lot of lawyers who are being recommended to become judge and then they are in the waiting list, they're waiting for a long time, they lose interest, they withdraw and they continue their practice, and this is something that's how we are losing some good talent in the judiciary. So 70 High Court Collegium recommendations are pending over 10 months. So this was observed by Justice Call. He adds that the center continues to segregate names despite the Collegium forbidding the practice. So high courts, the sanctioned strength of judges is 1114. However, current working strength of judges is only 774. That means there are 340 vacancies, and because of this delay, because of the fact that the collegium recommends and government sits on it, that is why this delay, that is why, and hence delay in delivery of justice, and a lot of issues including people, the judiciary losing talent. Supreme Court sanction strength is 34, working strength is 32. So even in Supreme Court there are two vacancies. In High Court there are 60,72,729 cases pending. And now pending of cases is of course a natural consequence of vacancy, because lesser judges, lesser cases being disposed of in a day. So that is the pendency in judiciary. Then there are around 45,22,626, which is the 74.47% of the cases are pending for more than a year. Then there are 80,591 cases pending in the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court has said that the judiciary was losing fresh talent as never before, because the prospective candidates shortlisted for judgeship in the high courts give up as months tick by without a decision from the government on their appointment. Apex Court will hear Naidu's plea in skill scam case today. That Apex Court means Supreme Court. Who is this Naidu? This is the former Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister and Chandrababu Naidu. There is this, there are several FIRs against him in the multi-crore skill development scam case. So let's see what happens in this case. Supreme Court to see if on-screen profanity amounts to sexually explicit act. Now this case is related to this YouTube series called College Romance, and the Supreme Court they decided to examine whether the use of vulgar language in this series will amount to a sexually explicit act under section 67A of the Information Technology Act. So again, the bench of Justice A.S. Bopanna and M.M. Sundaresh, they will look into the word act, which is encompassed spoken language too. A person found guilty under section 67A for the first time faces imprisonment up to 5 years and a penalty extending up to 10 lakh rupees. Supreme Court's three-judge bench will hear the PMLA, that is Prevention of Money Laundering Act, judgment, review pleas from October 18. So Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul, he said that a three-judge bench headed by him will begin hearing on the review petition against a July 2022 verdict which gave virtually unbridled powers to ED, Enforcement Directorate, to arrest and summon individuals and search private properties under the PMLA, under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So the review petitions have alleged that the judgment, that was the July 2002 judgment, they have deprived an accused person their basic rights, which includes even a copy of the enforcement case information report. Even ECIR is not given. So what happens is that the person who is incarcerated and with whom the ED has not shared the ECIR, so to prove that she is not guilty may prove to be Herculean if not impossible task. So that is the petition, and the Supreme Court will see what can be done about it. Bombay High Court says who will fact check the fact checker. Now this case relates to a petition filed by the political satirist Kunal Kamra and the Editors Guild of India and the Association of Indian Magazines and Regional Channels. So essentially they are challenging the constitutional validity of the IT Act, that is the Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Amendment Rules 2023. The new rules require social media intermediaries to censor content that relates to the central government if a government mandated fact-checking unit directs them to do so. So if a government is saying that this fact is not correct, remove that, censor that, then they have to remove it. But who will check the fact checker? Who will fact check the fact checker? You know, it's totally the discretion of the government. Whatever government will say, the social media intermediaries will have to follow. But what if government misuses it? So if they are fact checkers, so who will fact check the fact checkers? That essentially is the observation of the Bombay High Court. Then NHRC seeks action against action taken report on welfare of trans persons from government. So here the National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, they issued an advisory to the center, state government and UT administrations to ensure the welfare of transgender persons. Now the welfare measures include the provisions of separate toilets, free sex reassignment surgery, pension rights and inheritance rights. There is this article in the Hindu which says that over 860 serious charges are pending against 194 member of parliaments before the poll. So the complete complete data is given that 763 MPs were analyzed, out of which 306 MPs have criminal cases and 194 have serious criminal cases, 32 have attempt to murder cases, 21 have crime against women cases, 11 have murder cases and 4 have even rape cases. Then there are people from different parties, from BJP, from Congress, from TRS, from YSRCP. States are also mentioned: Odisha, MP, West Bengal, Kerala, Telangana, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, and the number of charges are also given. So you can have a look at this table to see the situation. Most of these are allegations also, but that's how the data shows. There is this news about Disha Ravi. If you remember, during farmers' protest, there was a lot of fuss about the toolkit. Greta Thunberg was also involved, and everybody was tweeting, that how to oppose the government, how to oppose the farmers' bill, the 3 farm laws that were introduced. So here, Disha Ravi, She is saying that every time I have to go abroad, I have to take permission. So please modify this condition. But the High Court rejected her plea, dismissed plea by climate activist Disha Ravi, who was seeking modification of a bail condition requiring her to obtain prior permission from court each time before traveling abroad. Ms. Ravi is facing prosecution for her alleged involvement in sharing a toolkit in relation to the farmers' protest in 2021. Wahida Rahman is getting Dada Saheb Phalke Award for actor. So, the Union Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur has announced that veteran Bollywood actor Wahida Rahman would be given the Dada Saheb Phalke Lifetime Achievement Award for 2021, honoring her stellar contribution to Indian cinema. Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated the 85-year-old actor on the microblogging site X, formerly Twitter. You know Wahida Rahman, very popular movies like Pyasa, Kagaj ke Phool, Chaudhary ka Chand, Saheb Bibi aur Gulam, Guide, Khamoshi. I mean, she does not need introduction. Punjab has committed that there will be 50% reduction in farm fires. So they will reduce paddy stubble burning incidents by at least 50% this year compared to last year. The Commission for Air Quality Management in NCR and adjoining areas said. There is this article about Punjab's hospitality sector that fears Canada freeze fallout because of the tension between India and Canada. A lot of people who are not allowed to enter India from Canada. So in this, especially in this during this month, October to January, which is the month of the festivals, where a lot of people come back to India. All the people who are settled in Canada, they come back to their homes. The hospitality, the hotels, the travel industry, that might suffer because of the ongoing Canada-India crisis, especially during these months. AFSPA to stay in Nagaland, that is the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, it will stay. It has been extended for 6 months from 1st of October in Nagaland and Arunachal. So according to the notification, the Armed Forces Special Power Act, it has been extended in 8 districts and in the areas under 21 police stations in 5 other districts of Nagaland. In Arunachal Pradesh, the act has been extended in Tirap, Changlang and Longding districts and areas in the jurisdiction of Namsai, Mahadevpur and Chaukham police stations in Namsai district. Center has told states to promote wheat seeds that are heat tolerant because there is 5% decrease in monsoon rainfall this year. So the center has asked the states to promote heat resilient and high yielding varieties of wheat among farmers. So the Union Agriculture Secretary Manoj Ahuja said that the meeting has reviewed the Kharif season and this is what the recommendation is. Here $1 billion amount is to be invested by the BII in India's climate initiatives. So BII is British International Investment. So having invested in over 290 businesses, the British International Investment aims to support more clean energy projects by 2026 due to countries' interest in emission cutting projects. Cipla will start delivery of critical medicines by drones in Himachal Pradesh. As you know that Himachal Pradesh is a area where there are a lot of hilly regions and a lot of places. So Cipla Limited has announced that it will deliver critical medicines such as those for cardiac, for those for respiratory and other essential chronic therapies by drones to hospitals and pharmacies in Himachal Pradesh in partnership with Sky Air Mobility. Byju's is again going to lay off around 4,000 staff in the coming weeks. So this every now and then you get to see this in news. So EdTech firm Byju's plans to lay off about 4,000 employees over the coming weeks as part of a restructuring exercise under the new CEO Arjun Mohan. 6.55 lakh crore rupees government's gross market borrowing for the second half of 23-25. So the government said that it will borrow 6.55 lakh crore in the second half of 23-24 through dated securities. Jaishankar has told the United Nations General Assembly that those days are gone when only a few nations used to set agenda. So he was addressing the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, he spoke in strong terms of a new, more equitable and democratic world order emerging, one that was more reflective of diverse interest. He linked these diverse interests to India's G20 presidency, saying that the days when a few nations set the agenda were over. 5.25 million people are displaced in war-torn Sudan. So due to the war between the army and the rapid support forces, national face severe consequences of malnutrition and floods. They are dependent on aid relief for survival. Nepal has said no to China's security initiative. So Nepal has appeared to reject the calls from China to join President Xi Jinping's global security initiative, but agreed to take forward ambitious cross-border connectivity projects during the visit of Prime Minister Pushp Kamal Dahal Prachand to Beijing. There's this report about Indians eating more salt than WHO recommendation. So the WHO recommendation is up to 5 gram daily. However, Indians, the salt intake in India stands at 8 gram. That is 8.9 gram a day for men and 7.1 gram a day for women. Because in India we have pickle, we have so many other things. A survey undertaken by the Indian Council of Medical Research found that salt intake was higher among the employed section, tobacco users, and those with elevated blood pressure. S. Somnath, the chairman of ISRO, he has said that 95% of components that are used in the Indian rockets is indigenous. Including the one that was used in Chandrayaan 3. Everything is indigenous, that's what he's saying. In sports, we have the two-time world champion sprinter Daphne Schippers. She's retiring from track and field at the age of 31. She has won back-to-back 200-meter world titles and transformed herself from a heptathlete who won a bronze in the event at the 213 Worlds in Moscow to a sprinter. She won the 200 meter at the 2015 Beijing Worlds and repeated the victory 2 years later in London. She also won silver in the 100 meter at the Beijing Worlds. In between her two world titles, Schippers won an Olympic silver in 200 meter at the 2016 Rio Games. Here in cricket, we have New Zealand has wrapped up the World Cup prep with series win over Bangladesh. So they have won the series with 2-0. It was a 3-match series and they of course won by 2-0. That's all for right now. Thank you so much. See you in the next session with more set of news. Till then, have a good day. Goodbye.